que não tem, tipo assim, um grande conteúdo pra internet, melhor.
Você está ao vivo. A gente está ao vivo, viu, pessoal?
We're live.
Porque
Não é morning, you guys, okay?
No Facebook, muito mais. Só que nosso Instagram não faz muito.
No Instagram não compensa, por exemplo.
Então, eu não sei, porque se ele falar no Facebook...
Can you please discuss outside?
Mas, tipo,
Yes, thank you. Mm-hmm.
It's lazy. Same thing happened.
Today was really slow.
But
I'm sending the link, okay? I'm sending the link.
Most of the country isn't internet at the same time. So.
and he's having an overload on the internet.
Yeah.
What? I think it's...
This is like Netflix are going to reduce the quality so that everyone can have access to the streaming.
I've seen that. I've seen it on the news. I don't know if this is either positive or negative, but
It's something.
Acho que vou ter que mudar, peraí.
It's something.
it's working.
what about the
Are we live?
Is he good?
It's working.
Right.
No, it's correct.
We're on.
Here we go.
Oh, let me put it here.
Okay, we're on. So we just have to wait for some people to come in, and our live is gonna start 10 minutes short, so yeah, we're on.
You guys can like get up and go out if you want, okay? Or
Sure.
just start at noon.
I'm a little bit of a narcissist, I would like to say.
So we might ask them. Do what you want.
I'm just kidding.
Only if I need more.
Yeah, we're just having water, super nice cups.
Drink water.
Drink water, alcohol is really important.
Sanitize your hands.
Exactly.
Wash your hands too.
Wash it before you sanitize it, just to make sure, like double check.
Double check, yeah. Okay, I'll be back. Oops, sorry. Wow.
Hi guys!
Hello.
Hello! A gente só tem um recadinho para vocês. Se vocês quiserem comentar, fazer perguntas pra gente, hoje a gente vai falar sobre living abroad, né, a vivência fora do Brasil. E é importante que vocês acessem o link do YouTube e loguem na sua conta, na conta de vocês, para poder fazer um comentário. Caso contrário, vocês não vão conseguir comentar, ok?
Sim, pelo aplicativo ou pelo browser também, no computador.
Exato. Dá certo, a gente já fez todos os testes, tá tudo funcionando bonitinho. Okidoki, let's go?
Let's go.
Okay, so our very first experiences abroad were very edifying, I think, and I guess this is a very positive thing.
Yes.
And I think he's gonna start talking about Canada, more specifically Toronto, Montreal, and I'm gonna talk about London, England. Okay, so what were you doing in Montreal?
Well, at first I wanted to study English somewhere. I mean, my idea was always Canada because it's a country I've always loved and I've always wanted to go there, to visit there, and to live. Yes, it's in Canada. I thought at first of going to Toronto or maybe another city. But then I thought, no, what if I do something different? I still go to Canada, but I'll try something different. And then I decided to go to Montreal to study French.
Oh, French.
So, yes.
I speak French, and I know for a fact that French is one of the hardest language.
Yeah, I had a hard time, especially at the beginning. And so I went there, I lived there for 2 months. I studied French at a school for foreigners. So there were a lot of people from other countries there, a lot of Chinese, South Koreans, what else? Brazilians too, Chinese people. So it was very nice. A lot of people from South America, actually.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Teacher, say hello to everybody. They are saying hi to you on the chat.
Oh, hi.
Hello, people.
How are you doing?
Welcome to our stream.
So, if you have any questions, you can comment down below and answer all of your questions. All right?
Remember to sanitize your hands.
Exactly. Wash it before you sanitize it. Double check.
Yes.
Okay. Well, for me, it was an experience that I had in London. I had a great time in London because it was my dream. You know, I've watched all of those movies because I like medieval movies, and I dreamed about visiting Buckingham Palace, which is one of the places that I admire the most, you know, when it comes to tourist spots. And London was very good. And we just take out the part of the weather, okay? Because it rains almost 300 days during the year. Yes, and we barely have the sunlight. And one curiosity outside, they have like a UVA, UVB light, so you can take like sunlight or something like it, because they barely have sunlight. And I thought it was really different, and the cuisine was amazing. What did you think about the cuisine in Canada?
It was good, but I don't know. Based on my experience, I lived with a host family, so I had a family there, and they offered me breakfast and dinner. Lunch I had to find on my own. But the kind of food they prepared was like, I don't know, I guess it would be similar to I don't know, food from the USA, but nothing really different. There were like 2 dishes that they told me that they were very popular in Canada, especially in Quebec, which is the province. Yeah, one of them is poutine, which I didn't really enjoy. We can talk about it later. And the other one was shepherd's pie.
Oh, what is it? I don't know that one.
It's a dish made of mashed potatoes. It's like basically 3 layers: mashed potatoes, minced meat, and corn.
Oh,
Yeah,
it sounds delicious.
yeah, I would say it's similar to our escondidinho,
Mmm.
but it's really simple, but it's really tasty. And I remember getting there, and there was also a girl from Colombia living in the same house as I.
Right.
And she said, have you ever tried shepherd's pie? Like, I hope our host mother cooks it soon because it's delicious. I love it. I'll think you love it. And she was always so excited for me to try it. And it was really good.
Well, cuisine in London was pretty much fish and chips. And sausages. They eat a lot of sausages. But it's basically American too. They eat a lot of hamburgers. They eat a lot of soup because the weather is really, really cold. So they like this warm, food when it comes to it. But yeah, it's not very different from America. I think it's pretty much the same. They eat a lot of fast food too because they're really rushing when it comes to it. Yes.
Okay, here guys, Alice is asking you guys, do you guys miss our food while you were there?
What is it?
If you miss Brazilian food while you were in London?
Oh, definitely.
A lot.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's one of the I think it's besides our families, of course, I really missed Brazilian food because I think there's no place in the world for food such as
Exactly.
Brazil.
Exactly.
Because
I think
our
this
food
is
delicious.
exactly. I agree. Totally agree. And I think this is the ultimate killer. Because when you miss food, you miss your family, and sometimes they're down in the dumps, like you want to, just to get it out of your chest to somebody in your family, and then you have to. Nowadays we have like live streams, we have video calls. I think it gets people closer, right?
Definitely.
But yeah, I don't know. I missed a lot of my family, but not my siblings. Just kidding. I missed my whole family. And yeah, I missed a lot of rice and beans. First thing, when I got in Brazil, I got down from the airplane, and when it landed, and I went to a Brazilian restaurant in the airport. I paid like $50 a plate of rice and beans, but I was dying. I was craving.
Me too. I love rice and beans, and when I got home, it was one of the first things I had because I really missed. My host mother prepared some beans, but it was like a bean salad. So they had like lettuce and cabbage.
But it's not like Brazilian beans.
No,
right?
it's completely different, like white beans and other kinds. So, but it's not our.
When I was missing
recipes.
beans, I found here's the thing. I found a Brazilian supermarket. Oh, it's like a grocery store, not a supermarket. But everything was so expensive. Guys, do you know cotubinha? You know the little one? Do you know how much it was? It was like £4, one cotubinha. So you do the math.
If you know how expensive ones are.
Exactly. So everything was very expensive when it comes to Brazilian food. They have a lot of seafood. What about Canada?
No, not that I remember. There were a lot of ethnic food, like out in the streets. I mean, ethnic food restaurants. I remember like Thai food, even Korean food, Japanese, Chinese, and of course, a lot of fast food restaurants. So I used to joke that when I was living there, each day of the week, I used to have a different fast food. Subway day, Burger King another, so pizza another, and then.
Oh, you gotta try the other stuff, right?
Yeah,
You gotta try right.
I also
right.
tried other restaurants, but maybe this is also the case in London, in Europe. But like regular restaurants were very expensive. Service in general is
It's
expensive.
expensive, right? I heard about a restaurant, and I think this restaurant is Canadian, if I'm not mistaken. It's called Red Lobster. I heard it's cheap in Canada.
I don't remember seeing this.
No, it's all right. I just heard from a person because I personally never been to Canada, and this is one of the places I really want to visit. And I also heard that the weather in Canada is kind of crazy. I don't know in Montreal, but it's
Yeah,
rather cold, right?
I was there in the beginning of spring. So when I arrived, there was snow everywhere, but it wasn't snowing anymore. So the snow was melting and it was dirty, and people were asking, "Did you play in the snow?" I said, "No, the snow was dirty." Like,
It's dirty, and I don't know in Canada, but in the U.S. salt to melt. Yeah, salt, and it's kind of gross. Do you have any other questions?
Yes, I have a question. Luis Gustavo is asking, is Brazil different from Canada? Or is Brazil different from London too?
yeah, many things are different. So some customs are similar, like I don't know, dinner, and at least in my family, we are used to having dinner a bit early, and the family I lived there, they had dinner very early. But in general, people were very nice, people were very polite, but like when you were out on the streets, like in the neighborhood where I used to live, it's very different. Houses have no gates, and there are people walking everywhere, and we get there with this idea of how Brazil is, and when we get there, we try to apply the same reasoning to that country, and it doesn't really work. Because I remember when I came back home in the evening, it was dark, and I was like afraid, looking back all the time just to check if nobody was following me. Yeah, But like there was no one on the streets, and then I used to tell this to my host mom. I said, no, it's relatively safe. Don't worry about it. She said, she told me like you're not going to be there like all night long, but it's kind of safe. What about London?
I mean, when it comes to security in London, it all depends on the place you go. Because when you go downtown, it's a capital. It's always dangerous somehow. But there are some the neighborhood I used to live, I used to, just sit on a curb. Nobody was talking to me. Nobody was trying to steal me. This is relatively safe as well. But I've never suffered anything like it. Thank God. Nobody mocked me or something like it. But I really enjoyed the experience in London. People are very nice too. They're very polite. I was surprised of the level, of politeness that they have in London. In Canada, I think it's the same thing.
Yeah, people are very polite. There's even a joke where people say that can they just say out of 10 words, 5 are sorry.
Well, same thing happened in London.
Yeah, like even if I don't know, accidentally bumped into someone at home, they would say sorry, like sorry all the time. But it's funny, but they're just like that. No, it's not. I don't know, it's not something that they are trying to force.
Exactly. Beatriz Arnardo is asking if Canada is very cold.
Yes, it is. Especially the cities more to the north. In Montreal, where I stayed, during the winter, it gets as cold as minus 35. And in the summer, it gets to 35 positive. So it's like two extremes. And people living there in that city, some of them are really annoyed by that. But it's really cold. In the winter, it snows a lot. And then people need those trucks to remove the snow from the streets. And they need special tires in the cars. They have to change the tires. The government has a law about this. So the sidewalk on the streets gets very, very slippery. I almost fell down once. Because even though it was not snowing, there was a day I was there that it was like minus 15. It was like minus 7, 0. But then one day it snowed and it got like to minus 13, something like that. And when I was going to school, I was going to get the bus, the sidewalk was like kind of slippery. I almost fell down. I said, okay, I have to be careful or else I
need special boots for it.
Yeah.
We're ready for the weather in Canada.
Yes, we're not ready. Like,
yes.
I
felt it a lot too. I felt it a lot. But we barely have snow in London because I've been there all seasons, and we do have snow some days, but it's not a lot of snow. But we have something that they call freezing rain. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's like rain and snow at the same time. And this is what gets the streets, the sidewalks really slippery because the water kind of melts, the snow, and then it turns to ice, like a thin layer of ice right on top of it, on top of the streets or sidewalks. And this is what makes it slippery. But it rained a lot. I mean, I didn't like rain very much.
Yeah, me neither. But I was there in spring, like I told you, in the beginning of spring, so there was snow everywhere, but then it started raining a lot. But it was not like the rain we have here, like tropical rains. It was like a drizzle, something very, you're not going to get too wet if you go out with an umbrella. And then all this rain starts melting the ice, the snow, and then sooner or later the grass starts getting green, the flowers, the trees, everything starts blooming. And then when I left, Canada, everything was green. There were flowers everywhere. It was very nice to see this change from the winter scenery to the spring, and the weather was also getting warmer.
I guess seasons in Canada, they're very well defined.
Yes, they are. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any other questions?
In London, it's difficult to find out the difference between the seasons because I think it didn't change too much.
It doesn't change a lot, the seasons. I mean, when you wake up in the morning, somehow it's cloudy and it's not rainy, and then you think, oh, I'm not gonna need an umbrella right now, but you take it. So you never know what is going to happen. Right? It's very unpredictable.
I have some more questions for you guys. Luisa Soares is asking, what most amazed you guys out there?
think.
I guess the Buckingham Palace.
Buckingham Palace is really
No, it's magnificent, but it's not the same. Well, culturally speaking, I think people are very polite, and politeness is something that attracts me a lot. I guess it attracts everybody.
Yeah, I guess so.
And they're very nice. There was like this situation when I was in the train, I was completely lost. Because if you go in London, they call subway the tube. And I was in the tube, and I was completely lost. I remember I was in Victorian Station, if I'm not mistaken, and I had to go to Essex. And I was lost. I had no idea. I was trying to reading the map, but nothing was working. And then this guy, he saw me that I was lost, evidently. And then he was like, would you like some help? I can help you. And I said, I just gotta go to this station over here. And then I showed my paper to him, and he walked me up to the station I was supposed to go. So it was really nice. It was really nice of him too.
Yeah, I was really surprised by that, how nice and polite people were in Canada. And I don't know, I liked the weather. I'm a fan of cold weather, so for me it was okay, not a problem. But I think what I liked the most about, especially Montreal, I visited other cities too, but there were people from all over the world and everywhere. So Canadians are very proud of this, of being like a multicultural country, and they accept people from all over the world. So this really amazed me. Like, I could hear people talking in different languages in each corner of the street. So it was really nice. As someone who loves languages, loves learning, this was very, very pleasing.
Exactly. Well, one curious thing about languages in London is it's an international city as well. I guess London, Montreal, Toronto, New York, Los Angeles, you have the opportunity to talk about other countries, other culture with different people of different nationalities. And this is a really interesting stuff. And you also in London get to know people from the other countries in the United Kingdom. And I guess, well, this is my opinion though, you can have a different opinion, but the hardest accent to understand was the Scottish.
Scottish?
The Scottish. Oh my God, I didn't understand a thing. It was like, I got to a place and I was all wet. And they always offer you like a hot shower when you get wet, not in public places, I mean, with friends' houses, of course. But I was like, his mom told me, well, did you take the bath? It was like, I was understanding bus, bath, anything but bath. And we're not used to Brazil. I mean, when we get to other people's house, people offering me to take a shower. This is not common, right? And he was like, I'm sorry, I don't get it. What do you mean? Bath, water. I was like, oh, okay, water. Okay, no, I'm so sorry, I'm good. And it was all wet.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so it was really nice. And any other questions?
Yes. Brian is asking, would you like to return to live in the country?
You visit?
Sure, I'd love to go there, maybe say hi to the family I live with, the people who received me, and also visit other cities. Like,
But to live there?
live there? Well, maybe, yes, who knows?
Well, not sure about it. Because I mean, London is amazing, but the weather is crazy. I mean, the craziest thing about London is the weather, and I don't think I would return because of the weather, but the education is just great. I think I would come back if I was better structured in my life, and I would be able to afford like a comfortable house, not a tiny apartment where I used to live. You know, I used to move around the apartment like 3 steps, I was in the kitchen, 3 more steps, I was in the front door. You know, it was really tiny apartment. But yes, I would come back if I was better structured.
Yeah, maybe I guess I would have to stay there sometime during the winter to see how I would cope with this, like minus 35 and snow everywhere, because it's something we're not used to, but well, I wouldn't say no.
Yes, it's hard to say no to other cultures.
Yes.
We got more questions. First of all, some more people arriving, so say hello to them, okay?
Hi, guys.
People, welcome.
They want to know about the adaptation, how it was, the difficulty about living in another country, things like that. They're asking.
Okay. For me, it was, I don't know, I always had this, not always, but in the beginning, I got a bit homesick. So maybe you also had this experience of going back, I was going back home in the subway and I felt like crying, like, oh my God, I miss my family, I miss my friends. And it was like,
I miss my dog.
I felt like crying in the bus, in the subway, going back home. But then, since I was going to be there for 2 months, I said, no, this is temporary. I know I'm going to be home sometime. So after this, it got a bit better. The family I lived with, they were kind of similar to my family because, you see, I was talking about this thing of Canada being multicultural. My host mom was Italian. My host father was Canadian. He was born in Montreal. And then in the house, there was also the girl from Colombia. And my host mom's daughter was living there. She was also Italian. And her husband was French. And they also had a baby. So there were many people in the house from different countries. So sometimes I would speak English with them or French. And I would listen to them speaking French to the other guy. So, but they were very, they were very warm and welcoming. So I had a hard time in this at all. And I guess you have to, I don't know, maybe get used to how the people live there. Something that really helped me was, I should live the way people live here. So like I took the bus to school, the subway, and I saw a lot of people having like coffee from Starbucks or Tim Hortons, which is like a Canadian Starbucks. And like people love Tim Hortons there, of course. And sometimes I would go there to grab a coffee. I saw people walking with their coffees and to get warm. And but I guess if you keep an open mind, it gets a bit easier. I know people are different, but what do you think?
Yeah. Well, for me, it was really hard to adapt. Yes. I would also miss a lot my family, my dog, Brazilian food. Oh my God, barbecue. They don't know how to grill barbecue. I mean, they get like vegetable sticks, sausages, and that's it. That's the barbecue in London. It's like, no, I'm gonna grill real barbecue for you. So it was great. So we could have this amazing cultural exchange, right?
Yeah.
I guess this is what it's about. When you go living abroad, or even when you go traveling, on vacation, you have to be cultured. You have to show your culture. You have to show how you greet people, because greeting is a big deal in Canada and London. I guess it's the same level, because people, they don't touch each other, right? When you don't know the person, when you shake hands, we kiss, we hug, and they don't hug. At most, they shake hands.
Yeah.
Yes, no more than this. And we're not allowed to kiss other people, in the cheek, because this is it's personal space. This is what they want to call it.
Yeah.
And this was my shock initially. I was a little bit shocked when it comes to it, because I'm a really huggable person. I really like touching people when I'm talking to people. I like, not that I'm like the person that starts poking other people. No, I know that this is annoying, but mostly I like to have physical contact with people. I'm a very warm person when it comes to it. And for me, it worked a lot, towards the end, but it worked, it was good. But yeah, adaptation for me was pretty much it, I guess I don't remember anything else. Do we have any more questions?
I have one more for you. Luan is asking, do you keep in touch with people that you met there, or no?
Definitely.
Yeah, I tried to keep in touch with them. I even called my host family once, like an international call, and sometimes say hello, and our regards.
And nowadays we have WhatsApp, right?
Yeah.
We have WhatsApp, right? And we have all the support of social media, so it's really easy to keep in touch.
Yeah, it's nice.
Okay.
One more? So have you guys had an awkward misunderstanding or something like that?
Oh, yes. I am a very good one.
You go first.
Yeah, so when I arrived in Montreal, I had this impression that I would be able to freely communicate there in English, because people here in Brazil told me, no, it's a bilingual city, people speak English and French. And for the most part, this is true, but when you are downtown. But if you are like in the suburbs, in other places, people may not speak English or may only speak French or only English, depends on the neighborhoods. It's kind of, there's like a separation like this. And once I was there with my cousin was studying in another city in Canada, and she passed by Montreal with some friends, and I met her there, and we decided to eat something. We were near the botanical gardens, and we wanted to go somewhere just to have some snacks. And then I searched Google Maps for a bakery or a cafe or something, and I found that there was like a bakery close by. And then we walked there. When we get there, it was like a very big building. There were no signs. There were no people, no places to sit. I said, oh, is this really the place? And then when I got closer, there was a man sitting. And I started speaking English with him, but then I realized he didn't speak English. and then like it was in the beginning, so he didn't speak French very well. So there was like this awkward communication, and I asked him, how could we get into the bakery to eat, to have something to drink? And I remember using the word enter just to see if he could understand me better. And then he got a piece of paper from the wall, and then here. And then he instructed me to fill in the paper, to put the information, and then give it to him. And then when I looked at the paper, it was like an application form. He understood that I wanted to work in the bakery, because that was not like a cafe or a pastry, it was a factory. So it was like the bread factory. And I said, oh, okay. And I
Just
said,
wanted to
yeah,
just
thank
to
you.
grab
And then goodbye. And I told my cousin, no, I'll explain on the way. Let's go to another place.
Oh, did he call you?
No, he wasn't feeling the paper.
Well, if he called you, it means that he would have liked you, right?
Yeah.
So you as well.
Oh yeah, it was very awkward. Like when I realized we were having different ideas.
Yeah, a similar experience that happened to me was pretty much the same, but because I never had fish and chips, and I wanted so bad because people started saying, oh, you're going to London, this is the national food, you gotta try fish and chips. And I did the same thing, I Googled it, like bakery or restaurant. I had no idea how they sell it, you know? And I thought it was like a restaurant or a bakery, something like it. And I got to this place, chips. I guess it's here. And then I entered a place, and a lady, she was asking for my ID. Like, can I see your ID? I was like, ID to enter in a cafe? What is this, right? And then it turns out it was a casino. So they had chips. It was like, oh no, I'm so sorry, I'm looking for food, I'm not gambling, you know? And yes, it was really awkward.
Okay, let's see. Luis and Suarez, did you guys go crazy buying everything possible, like souvenirs, quotes, chip stuffs, and so on? I don't know if it's an actual thing in Canada, but I do know it's a thing in London because they have an avenue just for buying cheap stuff, like souvenirs and things like that.
Yeah, I got kind of crazy. We should be what we call the underground city, which are like a lot of shopping malls underground in Montreal. And there were a lot of souvenir shops there. And I remember I bought a lot of keychains and like magnets for refrigerators and pins and buttons, a lot of things. And this t-shirt, but I didn't buy too many things like electronics or things because I don't know, I'm not really, I didn't think it was, the prices were too different from Brazil, you know. I guess it's not as cheap as the USA where people go there and you go crazy buying stuff. At least I didn't have this impression in Montreal.
Well, there is a place, I forgot the name of the street, but it's a side street from the Buckingham Palace. Because right in front of the Buckingham Palace is just the entrance. And then you have the side of the Buckingham Palace, and they have like a queen shop. So everything is about the royal family, about history. It's a pretty neat shop. But everything is very expensive in that shop specifically because that is the official gift shop that they have from the Buckingham Palace. But there are other options. They have like several little shops around the Queen's shop, and I bought like it was like a, I don't know, a little sign so you can put on the wall, like London and Underground or something like it. I bought T-shirts. Everything were very, very cheap.
Mhm.
I didn't think it was really expensive. Souvenirs in London, they're not expensive. Yeah.
Okay, let me see. Oh, Bruna Bushiji, Bukiji, I don't know, sorry for my misspelling, okay. The cultural differences have caused you any problem when you were there? Like you talked about the personal space, and you talked about different amounts of people from different cultures, so.
Yes, like some expressions, I didn't have a lot of experience in the language, and I tried to translate some Brazilian expression. It doesn't go well.
Usually doesn't.
Yeah, it really doesn't. And well, they didn't understand anything, so it was like this awkward moment, you know, when you are just trying to explain how you feel and people don't get it.
Yeah.
It's kind of frustrating, but it's really important that you go through it because you build up your vocabulary, your structures, your expression repertoire, and I think this is truly amazing because you were kind of forced to learn, right?
Yes. Yeah. I when I was there, I had already been a teacher for like 3 years, and I had a hard time learning like everyday vocabulary because the family wanted me to cook something from Brazil, and I had to get the recipe list and how to say these ingredients in English. I had no idea, so I had to translate and I didn't know much about cooking, so at the same time at that time, but I don't know. I guess the cultural difference for me it was not like a huge thing. I always tried to approach people with caution and like respecting
Yeah.
this personal space because I knew this. I had already known this back at that time. So I tried to keep this in mind when talking to other people. But I didn't have any major problems.
Yeah, me too. I guess the major problem that I had was like some expressions and something that it's really, because my English is really American, and when I was there, you know, they have English expressions and American expressions. And there are differences, and it may not be some different, very different somehow. And I don't have anything coming to mind right now, but they used to say a lot of mate. And it was like, mate? I thought it was Australian or something.
Yeah.
And they said, oh mate, oh lad. They used to call me lad. It's it's the same thing as boy. And it's like, oh lad, come here. Oh lad. Lad? What is lad? And it was really, really different for me. And I learned a lot of new vocabulary. Any other questions?
Let me see. Amanda Pinheiro asking, what was the most amazing place you guys have been to? And you're a guys too, okay? You're amazing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Buckingham Palace.
I visited many touristic sites there, but I really enjoyed the Niagara Falls. So I went to the city called the Niagara Falls, and I also went on that little boat to get close to the falls. And then like you have like a very big bridge.
I'm gonna be swallowed in a moment.
Yeah, we had like some raincoats and the boats. There are like two boats, one that leaves from the US because it's in the border. There's a bridge connecting Buffalo in the US and Niagara Falls in Canada. And we get on the boat, and the boat goes like kind of close to the falls, and you get all wet, and it's difficult to see. But it was really nice because it's very big. But I've also enjoyed other places like going to the top of CN Tower in Toronto and walking over the glass floor and looking at the ground from the glass floor.
I would enjoy it.
That was really nice. So,
Yeah. I'm too
And
cool for
it's
the
very
summer to
tall.
go on hikes.
Yeah, how about the Big Ben or the Eye?
I really liked it. I mean, London Eye is interesting, but it's not a really big attraction. There are some really big stuff to do in London, and London Eye is just a detail. I really like the Tower of London. It's where they keep the Queen's jewelry, and then you can visit a room, and they have like the Queen's crown. It's not with her. The crown is exposed in the museum, and you can visit this museum, and it's really amazing. You can get to see all of the crowns, there are some coats like royal coats, and from back in the 1500, 1600. It's really interesting. It's really, really interesting. And some pretty old stuff. And London, it's a historical city. You breathe history in London. So wherever you go, you look and then you remember. I don't know if you like history, but I loathe history. I love history. Yes.
Did you watch The Crown?
I did. When I watched it, I have been there. Yes, and it's really amazing, the experience. And I mean, Big Ben, it was not under construction when I went there. But if you go right now at the moment, well, don't go. But whenever everything passed, I'm about this virus, and I hope it passed in a really short time. Let's be positive about it.
Yeah.
You go to London and then you visit Big Ben, and go when it's not under construction, because the Parliament is also a museum. You visit the Parliament, you can visit the Big Ben, you can visit Buckingham Palace. It only opens in summer, because in summer the Queen is down to Windsor Palace, so the whole royal family goes to the Windsor Palace, which is her official residence. The Buckingham Palace is just a state residence, right? Anyways, her house, specifically saying, is the Windsor House, and the Buckingham Palace opens like only half the palace to visitors, and there are these amazing rooms. Everything is built up with gold, everything is shiny. You can see, I mean, Michelangelo paintings on the walls, on the ceiling. It's really amazing, it's really impressive. But I don't think it's as impressive as the Louvre Museum in Paris.
No.
The Louvre is amazing, but the Buckingham Palace was what called my attention, because I really like this old stuff. And the Buckingham Palace is where everything right.
So, curious again, is there any issues in both countries that people don't feel very comfortable talking about? Like problems that happen on the city, on the country, that people try to avoid?
Well, they try to avoid argument, mostly. I mean, when you see, because here's the thing, in London, people drink a lot, right? And they drink, and sometimes they get into arguments, and you see that the person is a little bit drunk, so it's not very well seen. It's very frowned upon if you enter in an argument with this person. Because, I mean, they try not to be bad people somehow, let's put it this way. They like to be polite, and they like to be respected, and they like to respect. I guess this is the most thing about them.
Yeah, I was trying to remember something. There was something that caught my attention. Maybe it's not a problem to everyone there, but Canada is considered like a kingdom of the
Yes.
The politeness.
Yeah, so like the Canadian dollar bills, some of them have the face of the Queen, and it's considered like a kingdom of the Queen. And then I remember I was there, and I had the chance of being there on the day. It's a holiday, and it's called Queen's Day, because they're a kingdom of the Queen. But then a lot of people were protesting at this day because they didn't like the Queen, because Montreal is in Quebec, and Quebec was mostly colonized by French people, and French people were not, there's this history of them not liking English people very well, very much. And I remember people protesting on the streets, and they were like singing a song in French. I don't remember what it was. I didn't understand very well at the time. And so some people were like, I don't mind, and a lot of people were very like,
They were restricted about it.
yes, and they really didn't like this thing about being like related to the Queen of England.
Yes, well, I guess nowadays independence is everything, right? And it's just a title. I don't think Canada is somehow related to England. I guess it's just territory, right?
Yeah,
Because people are very different and the same at the same time. They're very different and similar. But there is one curiosity about London, not about London, about England in whole, that they kind of don't like the French people. and vice versa. French people don't like English people. And when you have like a French visitor, they don't mistreat the person, of course, they're gonna be polite as always, but they don't talk to this person very much. Yes, they kind of leave this person aside because they have what they used to call the 100-Year War. It was like a cold war between England and France, and because of it, they have very different customs. They have very different opinion and very different languages too. And when we speak French in England, they kind of don't like it. I mean, you're in England, you speak English, and then when you're friends, the same thing happens. I've been there, I know for a fact. And when you speak English, can I have information or something? And then they go like, je suis désolé, je comprends pas l'anglais. I mean, don't speak English in France. Anyways, but if you are polite, if you're like in France, excusez-moi, monsieur, vous parlez anglais? And first French, just an introduction, and then you go to England and they will answer you in English.
Yeah, I've heard that people tell me, start trying to speak French
Yes.
in France, and they are going to be nicer to you.
Exactly. If you introduce yourself in French, or at least say, I don't know, excuse me, do you speak English? And in French, they will reply you in English. Yes, it's kind of a cultural thing that they have it, right?
Yeah, you were mentioning curiosities, and especially related to the language. People told me that in Montreal, if you want to find a job downtown, especially in stores, you have to speak both languages, English and French. And then I realized this when going to stores, because when you get into a store, people greet you by saying bonjour, hi.
Bonjour, hi.
Bonjour, hi. And then if you answer bonjour,
Sounds like
they
another
speak
language.
French with you. Yeah, and if you answer, if you answer hi, they speak English with you. And it's very, very nice. It's something very regional from that city because people there speak both languages. It was very, very interesting.
Really amazing. Oh, and in the United Kingdom, they have their own dialects, and there's something called Cockney slang, and it's inside London. It happens inside London, but not in all London. It's just in some region, And one day my phone was ringing, but I was really paying attention to the person I was talking to, and then this person was like, wouldn't you like to pick up your dog? It was like, dog? Where is my dog? My dog is back in Brazil. I don't have any dogs here. And then this person goes, no, phone, because here we have something called Cockney slang. Dog and bone rhymes with bone. So it's the same thing.
Oh.
Yes. It's a rhyming slang, you see. Go up the stairs. It's go up the stairs. I thought it was really different. And
Yeah, that's interesting.
interesting, right? And it was like, pears? I don't even like pears. Okay, any more questions?
Let me see. Yes, Luana has a question for you guys. If I had to go to London or Montreal, what would you guys recommend to her to know in advance?
Well,
to start.
Yes. If you're going to Montreal, prepare for the weather. So if you're going in winter or summer, they're like two different extremes. So minus 35 in winter and plus 35 during summer. What else? Besides the weather, be prepared to meet people from all over the country, and especially downtown. So we're going to meet people there.
London is the same thing. Take your umbrella. It's really important. It rains a lot. When I say a lot, it's almost every day. I mean, in the morning, in summer, it might be sunny a little bit, but then at the end of the afternoon, it gets rainy.
There's a joke about that, like in summer people get hotter, like they're more lovely, they're lovely on the streets, they say hello to you, they say hi.
Yes, people
winter,
get happier. Yeah, people get happier. And one interesting thing about it is because in London they don't have beach, right? So there's like this girl, oh, I went to the beach, it was super cold. It's like, the beach? Yes, it's like 15 Celsius. It's perfect for the beach. It's like, no, it's horrible. But yeah, they go to the beach when it's like 10 degrees Celsius, 15 degrees Celsius, because for them it's really hot, you see, because they experience cold the whole year.
Yeah.
And it's really rainy. I think Ireland is worse than England because it's up north.
Yeah,
but
probably.
still, I guess it's pretty much the same thing, almost the same experience.
Another question, I think it's a difficult question. Otávio Solomon was asking, in your opinion, do you think if we go to Montreal, this part to London, is it possible to find all the cities beautiful or some places are ugly too? Because we know there's inequality.
There are
whole
the
world.
downfalls. There are the downfalls. Every
Yes,
city
there
has
are.
it. I mean, the outskirts of London are normally uglier than downtown because downtown is really touristic and we have tourists all over the world coming and visiting, and they want to take beautiful pictures, right? I don't know about Montreal, but I guess it's more organized than London.
Yeah, I guess it's fairly organized. The neighborhoods, like the suburbs, were beautiful. But like I saw some things there, like when we talk about like social inequality, I saw homeless people, a lot of homeless people in Montreal, asking for money, asking for help. When people were like going in and out of a drugstore.
Sure.
I saw a lot of, once I remember entering on the bus, getting on the bus, and there was a lot of, chips and like things on the floor of the bus, like, people. So these things happen there too.
Yeah, and people think that because it's in Europe, because it's in North America, the streets are going to be clean and everything. I don't agree. I don't entirely agree with it. The streets are only clean downtown in London, and when you have to go to A6, for example, the streets they tend to be a little bit dirtier, and this is sad. You see,
Yeah.
because it's the reality. And people, when you see pictures of some country, like different country you have never been to, people tend to think that the streets are clean, people are very polite, everything is perfect. But one thing about living abroad is it creates a different personality on you because you have to adapt to the culture and you have to let go of anything you have already learned in order to learn new things. I guess this is the main thing about living abroad, right?
Yeah.
Gratification of a new personality with new costumes and all.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's one question of our inspectors too. Did this experience change you somehow?
Oh yes,
Do you feel different when you come back to Brazil?
Yes.
Yeah, I was homesick from London.
Homesick.
Yes, I was homesick from London. But not only London, I mean all Europe is amazing. I've been to Italy, I've been to France, and France is just incredible. And I think it was incredible. Paris, I didn't think Paris was much of a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
But Rome is amazing in Italy. I think it's worthwhile going to Italy if you are in Europe. Yeah.
Yeah, about this like personal growth, I felt more independent. I felt more confident that I could do like much more than I thought I could. Like on my own, I went to Toronto, Niagara Falls, Ottawa, the capital. So there are many things you can do that you only realize when you get there. When you're just by yourself and say, I'm by myself now, so I have to do something. And this experience is very nice because you feel more confident, you feel better about yourself, knowing that you can go through a lot of experiences. Like we were talking about food earlier, and you mentioned poutine. Poutine is like, if you don't know, it's like a French fries dish where they put French fries, and then they put some gravy, which is a sauce made from meat and cheese. So when they pour the gravy over the French fries, the cheese melts and the French fries become a bit mushy, so they're not crunchy anymore.
It's
And Canadians, especially people from Quebec, love poutine. For example, when you go to fast food like McDonald's, you could exchange a regular fries for the poutine for like $1 or $2 extra. And then people told me, no, you have to try poutine. And then I tried. I went with some friends I made there.
Did you like it?
No. I like this crunchy thing about French fries. You know,
Yeah.
for me it's one of the. And I'm not a big fan of cheese. And we went to a restaurant which specialized in poutine, so there were like different combinations. So like poutine with pigs and chicken or meat, and sweet poutine. So there were many kinds. And some days later, I got like sick. I got food poison. So you know when you eat something and it's not very well, you get really sick and throw up. So I got really sick. I think it was because of the poutine. So I don't really.
You don't really get related to it.
Yeah, it was not a good experience for me.
I don't know if I have anything to add because food poisoning happens when you are in another country,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
you have to get used to it.
It's susceptible. Like it can happen. So like,
Yeah.
I was lucky because on the day I got sick, like my stomach was terrible. The bus I used to take to go I took a bus and then a subway to get to school.
Sure.
The bus was late, and I was like, I've been here for like a month. I've never missed school, and I thought to myself, I'll go back home today. I won't go to classes. And when I got home, like 10 minutes later, feeling sick and throwing up, and my host mother told me like, how did you know you were getting sick? Because imagine if you were like on the bus or downtown and you were getting sick and throwing up, how would you go back home? So I would manage, but I got really lucky because I didn't go very far that day.
Yeah,
I came back home.
you can say that again because it
Okay.
happens. Any other questions?
I think we are done with the questions and with the time. I just want to make my own question for you guys.
Sure.
So, as we are talking about living abroad, knowing the world, knowing other countries, how about visiting or living in another country? What you guys would like the most, to visit or to live?
The countries you worked before?
No, not just on the countries you were before, but if you can choose from anyone.
Okay.
I would definitely go to some country in Africa. Yes.
Different and very good too.
Very good too, because it's very exotic, the places, people's culture, everything is different. And I would like to go to a more civilized people, civilized place, but I wouldn't go to the savannah, for example. No, I would be the first to get eaten by lions. But I would like to have the experience to go on a safari, to visit other places. I heard that in South Africa, they have, in Johannesburg, if I'm not mistaken, they speak 11 languages.
Oh gosh.
Yes, I don't know if this is true. I have to Google it to be sure about it. But I heard about it, and if this is true, I really want to go.
Yeah, I'd love to, maybe not live, but I'd love to visit Japan, Tokyo, and other big cities there because we have this impression that Japan is already in the future and we're living in the past. And like, I love technology, I love these things, so I'd love to visit there. Maybe I wouldn't fit well in their culture and their customs, but it's a place I'd love to see personally.
Yeah. Well, I guess
Yeah, we can say goodbye.
I guess
Alright,
we can say
people.
goodbye. Thank you so much for
Thank
watching.
you.
Thank you for your support. Bye bye.
Yeah, see you on Friday, guys.
Yes,
Bye-bye.
see you on Friday.
Because this is the part in the journal, the news program.